No one tells you that becoming a man often feels like grieving something invisible. Not a person, not a place, but the gentle version of yourself you had to leave behind just to survive. You wake up one day and realize that the world doesn't care if you're tired, confused, or quietly breaking apart. It expects you to stand, to perform, to provide, even when you're still figuring out who you are. This isn't about hustle. It's not about motivation. It's about facing the silent weight that so many young men carry in their chest and learning how to live without becoming numb to it. This is not advice for the polished. It's for the ones who lie awake at night, wondering if they're already falling behind. The myth of arrival. There's this quiet lie that follows you into adulthood. Once you get there, everything will make sense. At first, there is a good job. Then, it's confidence. Then maybe a certain body, or a relationship, or a number in your bank account. You chase it like a horizon moving, fading, reshaping itself every time you get close. But here's the honest truth. There is no arrival. No finish line where your insecurities dissolve, where your father is finally proud, where your past doesn't echo in your head. Growth doesn't feel like a movie scene. It's not clean. It's not cinematic. It's a quiet Tuesday morning when you show up anyway. It's doing your laundry when you're depressed. It's going to the gym even though you still hate your reflection. It's reaching out to a friend, even when the silence between you feels heavy and awkward. No one tells you how painfully boring healing is, or how becoming a man has less to do with strength and more to do with persistence. You don't always feel wiser or more powerful. Sometimes you just feel tired, but you keep going anyway, and that's what counts. The truth is, you're not behind. You're just becoming. And no, it doesn't always look like progress. Some days feel like standing still. Some days feel like you've lost everything you've built internally. But that's part of it. Real growth isn't linear, it loops, it stutters, it doubles back. The myth of arrival will haunt you if you don't name it. It will whisper that your life hasn't started yet, that you're still waiting to be ready. But ready is a fantasy. You build the road as you walk. You become the man during the discomfort, not after it. So if you're lost right now, unsure, doubting, good. It means you're thinking. It means you're still alive inside. And that's more than most. The loneliness no one warns you about. No one really prepares you for the kind of loneliness that comes with becoming your own man. It's not the obvious loneliness, not about being single or physically alone. It's quieter than that, more subtle. It's the moment you realize that no one is coming to rescue you, that you're the one who has to carry your own weight, make your own choices, hold your own pain. There's an ache that arrives when you stop trying to be who others expect and begin trying to figure out who you actually are. Friends drift. Family doesn't always understand. And suddenly the jokes don't land the same. The conversations feel hollow. The parties feel exhausting. You become more selective, not out of arrogance, but necessity. You don't have the energy to perform anymore. And in that gap between who you were and who you're becoming, loneliness creeps in. You'll sit in your apartment some nights and feel it in your chest like a slow burn. Not sadness exactly, just absence. The absence of easy comfort, of being seen without having to explain yourself. And here's the hardest part. You'll begin to mistake that emptiness for failure. You'll think something's wrong with you, that if you were better, stronger, more charismatic, you wouldn't feel this way. But what if this is just the price of honesty? What if loneliness isn't proof you're broken, but proof you're no longer willing to settle for shallow things? There's a kind of solitude that precedes self-respect, a period of silence before your life aligns. You're pruning, even if you don't realize it, letting go of roles you used to play, people who only loved the mask, and that hurts. But it's necessary, because something happens when you sit with the silence long enough. You start hearing your own voice again, not the voice of insecurity or comparison, but the real one, the one that's been buried under noise. So if you feel alone right now, don't run. It means you're finally not abandoning yourself. And that's the kind of loneliness that leads somewhere honest. Masculinity without the armor. You were probably taught, whether directly or by example, that being a man means being hard. Hard to read. Hard to hurt. Hard to break. Keep your voice steady. Keep your emotion quiet. Keep your struggle private. But that kind of masculinity is a costume heavy, suffocating, stitched together with fear. And the longer you wear it, the more you forget how to take it off. Here's the truth no one tells you. Strength isn't about building thicker armor. It's about learning when to set it down. There's nothing brave about being numb. There's nothing noble about hiding your pain until it leaks out as anger or silence or self-destruction. You don't need to be invincible. You just need to be honest. It's okay if your heart feels heavy some days. It's okay if you don't have answers. It's okay if the weight of being responsible for your own life terrifies you sometimes. You're not weak for feeling things deeply. You're not less of a man for needing connection, softness, rest. True masculinity isn't about avoiding your emotions. It's about being strong enough to face them. And yes, it's awkward at first. Vulnerability feels unnatural when all you've known is performance. You'll fumble your words. You'll worry you've said too much. You'll question if it's safe to be seen. But over time, something shifts. You begin to notice who listens. You start choosing relationships that hold you, not just admire you. You stop measuring your worth by how tough you seem. And quietly, you begin to trust that your softness isn't a liability. It's your compass. The world doesn't need more men who pretend they're fine. It needs more men who are real. The weight of unspoken expectations. You carry more than you realize. Not just the tasks and deadlines, but the invisible expectations stitched into your spine. Be successful, but humble. Be assertive, but never too much. Make money. Be useful. Provide. Protect. Never falter. No one says it outright, but you feel it in the glances, the praise, the silence. You feel it when you're 25 and already wondering if you're falling behind. When scrolling through perfect lives makes yours feel embarrassingly average. And maybe you don't talk about it because what would you even say? That you feel like you're constantly performing? That you're tired of pretending you have a plan? That some days, you're not chasing success, you're just trying to outrun shame? These expectations are heavy because they're vague. You never really know when you've done enough, so you keep running. Here's the brutal honesty. You'll never meet all of them, and trying to will hollow you out. But that doesn't mean you give up. It means you pause and start choosing which expectations actually belong to you. Whose voice are you chasing? What version of masculinity are you trying to embody? Whose approval are you still dying to earn? At some point, you have to stop living reactively. You have to define your own metrics. Maybe success isn't the title. Maybe it's waking up with peace in your chest. Maybe it's doing something well, even if no one sees it. Maybe it's simply becoming someone you respect. Discipline isn't what you think it is. There's this idea that discipline is about force. Waking up at 5 a.m., cold showers, grinding until your eyes bleed. And maybe, for a while, that works. But eventually, your willpower cracks under the weight of resentment. Because real discipline isn't punishment. It's care. Quiet. Repetitive care. It's choosing what's good for you even when it's not dramatic. It's showing up for your future self not to dominate him, but to protect him. You don't need to conquer your laziness like it's an enemy. You need to understand it. What are you avoiding? What are you afraid of failing at so much that you'd rather do nothing at all? Discipline begins when you treat yourself like someone worth taking care of. When you stop building systems out of guilt and start building rhythms out of respect. You don't have to be perfect, but you do have to be consistent, not in intensity, but in intention. A short walk counts. A 10-minute journal entry counts. Turning your phone off for 1 hour and breathing deeply counts. The internet sells you this ideal man, hyper-efficient, shredded, successful by 27. But that's not the full picture. That's not sustainable. That's not peace. True discipline is learning to keep promises to yourself. Not because you hate who you are now, but because you care about who you're becoming. And when that shift happens, discipline no longer feels like a war. It becomes a form of self-trust. You stop needing motivation. You start needing less chaos. And slowly, your life begins to feel lighter. Redefining success in a noisy world. The world is loud about what you should want. Status, recognition, speed, a 6-figure income by 30, a curated lifestyle that looks good from the outside even if it feels hollow on the inside. But here's what no one really says. Success is a moving target, especially when it isn't yours to begin with. You'll burn yourself out chasing things that never ask whether they fit your soul. You'll achieve goals and feel nothing because they were never rooted in who you are, just in who you were told to be. At some point, you have to stop performing ambition and start defining what enough means for you. That might look different than what you expected. Maybe it's a slow life. Maybe it's doing meaningful work that pays just enough, but lets you sleep well. Maybe it's becoming a good brother, a steady friend, a quiet leader. You don't owe anyone a spectacle. You owe yourself a life that makes sense when no one's watching. It takes courage to let go of the narrative, to stop playing the game, to stop measuring your worth by how productive or impressive you seem. But there's a strange freedom in that pause, a peace in reclaiming your own timeline. You realize that success isn't a peak, it's a rhythm. It's living in alignment. It's waking up with energy instead of dread. It's knowing what matters and letting the rest be noise. So yes, be driven, be ambitious, but ask yourself often, whose race am I running? The hidden power of stillness. There's a voice inside you, quiet, steady, ancient, but you rarely hear it. Not because it's gone, but because the noise never stops. We live in a world that rewards constant movement. Scroll, react, hustle, improve. And when you finally slow down, even for a moment, it feels wrong. Like you're falling behind. But stillness isn't laziness. It's not passivity. It's a skill, maybe the most underrated one you'll ever learn. Because only in stillness do the deeper truths emerge. That you're exhausted not from doing too much, but from doing too much of the wrong things. That your mind isn't broken, it's just overstimulated. That your dreams were never that loud. They've just been drowned out. There's a kind of clarity that can't be chased. It arrives in quiet rooms, early mornings, long walks without your phone. Stillness is where you remember who you are when no one needs anything from you. It's where you realize that self-worth isn't something you have to earn every day. Most young men never stop long enough to hear their own wisdom. They confuse silence with stagnation. But stillness doesn't mean you're stuck. It means you're listening. And when you finally do, you may find that you've been more whole than broken all along, just distracted. So take the pause. Turn down the volume. Give yourself space to breathe without needing a reason. The world will still be there when you return. But you might come back different. You don't have to do this alone. There's a quiet myth that strength means isolation. That a real man walks alone, figures it out alone, heals alone. But that belief, it's not noble. It's not heroic. It's just lonely. You weren't built to carry everything by yourself. And yet, somewhere along the line, you learn to hide your needs, to nod and say, I'm good, even when your chest is full of unsaid things. The truth is, connection doesn't make you weak. It makes you real. You need people who see behind your silence. You need friends who don't flinch when you're honest. You need someone who can sit with your pain, not fix it. Just sit and remind you that you're not strange for feeling deeply. But here's the thing. Those people don't just appear. You have to create space for them. You have to go first sometimes. You have to risk awkwardness, vulnerability, even rejection. It's not easy, but it's worth it. Because when you find even one person who gets it, who doesn't expect you to perform, who accepts your flaws without shrinking from them, that's when everything softens. You realize that being held isn't weakness. It's part of being human. You don't have to do this alone. You never did. If you've made it this far, maybe a part of you is tired. Tired of pretending. Tired of performing. Tired of wondering if you're already behind. But here's the most honest thing I can tell you. You're not lost. You're just early in the process. And no, it won't be easy. But you don't have to harden to survive it. Let this be the season you stop running from yourself. Let this be the year you get quiet enough to hear your own voice again. You're not alone in how you feel. And you're not weak for wanting more than just success. For wanting peace, meaning, connection, wholeness. That's not softness. That's courage. If this resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Leave a comment, even just a word, something real. Like this video, share it with a friend who needs it, and subscribe if you want more spaces like this. We're not here to perform. We're here to grow quietly, honestly, together. Thanks for being here.